if you imagine, I feel like I grew up in the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
But I remember people hanging over, like with wads of money in their hands, and I had to get on buses to get certain places. It was bananas. Your sense of identity is tied up into your military experience. For me, it was, anyways.
Yeah.
I take something from every season of my life, and I apply that to where I am today. I didn't get where I am today without learning a lesson.
Taking care of yourself is not selfish.
Yes.
In fact, it's one of the least selfish things that you can do.
Absolutely.
Hey, welcome to the Mastering the Military Transition series of the Prize Podcast. My name is PJ, and I'll be your host. The purpose of this podcast is to share the stories of those who've successfully transitioned out of the military so you can see the tips and tricks necessary to have a successful transition of your own. That way you don't have to stumble across some of the same things that myself and my team at Prize had to struggle with. At Prize, we believe in a world where all enjoy the freedom to grow. That's why we're developing the Prize app. If you'd like to learn more, please check out the prize.vet link in the show notes below. Welcome to another episode of the Prize Podcast. Today, we have Jasmine Rush with us. She made the drive all the way from Virginia, so Thank you for doing that. Jasmine is a Navy veteran.
Yes.
Yeah, she was in for 4 years,
Yes.
served as a boatswain's mate. Yeah,
Bosun's mate.
boatswain mate. Yeah, okay. She's currently senior executive assistant at the VA. And you've been with the VA for 12 years, which is a long time. That's awesome. We're going to get into that.
Yes.
She currently also serves as the ambassador for the Institute for Veterans and Military Families, IVMF, at Syracuse.
Yes.
And is the author of 2 books, which is amazing, by the way. Help Me Tell and In the Trench, or Together in the Trenches.
Yes.
Both of these books have to do with navigating trauma and PTSD. And you got to the bestseller list on Amazon, which is awesome.
Thank you.
For Together in the Trenches. That's so cool. So let's go ahead and dive in, if you don't mind. I would love to go ahead and start by just, tell me in your own words how Jasmine became Jasmine.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So I came to where I am now through trials and tribulations, right? Like,
Sure.
I think sometimes people look at where someone arrives to and they forget about the process.
Oh, absolutely.
And that is a journey.
Mm-hmm.
I know myself. I have done that. Yeah, I have thought about, such and such is here, and I want to be where they are. So by taking real steps, actionable steps, I call it, I'll talk about a little bit of my journey, if that's okay.
Yeah, please do. That's what we're here.
So I went in the Navy at the age of 19. I tried to graduate high school and go to college because that's what my family wanted me to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized right away that I wasn't, at that time, college material. So from then, I went to community college, Baltimore City Community College, to be exact. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland.
Oh, cool.
I went from there into the Navy. And I left my hometown because there was a lot of drama going on.
Yeah.
I come from a broken home. My grandmother helped raise me. And so I'm where I am at today because of her and the things that she did. My dad was off living his life, and my mom, unfortunately, had succumbed to the big crack epidemic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes. And so she's still around, which is crazy. It's like bananas. I mean, if you imagine, I feel like I grew up in the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
And I tell people that and they laugh at me, but I remember people hanging over, with wads of money in their hands, and I had to get on buses to get certain places. It was bananas, right?
Yeah.
So I could have come from a place where I lived in this experience and just stayed in this bubble, but I said there had to be something different. So right away, when I decided I was going to go into the military, I really wanted to go into the Marines. My uncle was a Marine, and I loved his uniform. And so I said, I want to go wear that black and that them blue pants with that red stripe. That was what I wanted to do. And I went to the recruiter and they told me no. They said I was too fat to join.
Whoa. Oof.
And so I said, you know what? I'm going to try to lose the weight. So I started running around the Alameter. We had an Alameter. I started running about 2 miles around this track.
Oh, cool.
And then somebody got shot.
Oh my God.
I said, oh Lord, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
This is bananas. So I went to the Navy. I wanted to go talk to the Navy, and they took me right away. I left for boot camp in June of 2000. And then I went to, Great Lakes, Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And did my boot camp training, got out, went to Pensacola to take the aviation boatswain's mate handler training, and then I became the supervisor for crash and salvage on the flight deck of the new USS Iwo Jima LHD-7.
Wow.
So we had a brand new crew, brand new ship, and we were led under the direction of the most amazing chief Harold, and Chief Boatswain's mate, and he's since gone now. Some of the things they taught us while I was on that ship was phenomenal. It was about honor, courage, and commitment.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And discipline is showing up, and running around that flight deck when we were out to sea, and all the things. I had a really good experience in the Navy, but I got pregnant with my son in 2002, and I said, you know what? I'm going to be responsible to take care of him because of my background. So I was on the fast track, though, to become an officer, and I had to postpone that dream to come out and take care of him. And so my husband was supposed to do 20 years, and then he just decided to shift after 8. So we get to 2004, I get out of the Navy. Your sense of identity is tied up into your military experience. For me, it was anyways. And I was like, oh, I've been Navy. I'm happy that I was Navy. I'm the only one in my family at that point to ever serve Navy. I have a history of Army and Marine Corps, like my dad and my grandfather. And so, I was like, oh, and the only girl to take the leap and make a jump into military service from my side of the family. So all of those things help shape me in some way, shape, or form, right? My experience before going into the military, my experience in the military, it helped to shape me. When I met my husband, I met him in the Navy in 2001. We got married. So we just celebrated 24 years of marriage.
That's amazing.
That is amazing, right? Because many of the friends that I knew that got married while in did not do well. They had some of those contract agreements and unfortunately had succumbed to whatever that is.
Yeah.
Right? So for us, we had our firm foundation, and our anchor was in our faith, and that's what helped, I think, keep us this far. Also a part of forming and shaping me. He went to Iraq and Afghanistan. He came back different.
Sure.
So that also helped shape me, which is why all of my journey as a mom for my son and my daughter, who's 16 going on 50, is a lesson learned. I take something from every season of my life and I apply that to where I am today. I didn't get where I am today without learning a lesson from all the hard stuff, from all the good stuff, and from everything in between.
Yeah. I love that. So that brings us to today.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
When you say that you were on the fast track to be an officer, or transition to be an officer, at that time, and you had to make that choice then to get out, Like, how did that affect you?
Well, that's a tough question.
Yeah.
And I like this question,
Yeah.
but it's very tough. I love deep questions.
Yeah.
It affected me in many ways. You're taking a person who's been abandoned and have to been put off to the side and left alone, right, from the people who's supposed to help take care of them. Then to go and try to set my own path.
Yeah.
And then have to suppress another dream.
Yeah.
It affected me in many ways. Ways I'm still working out today, if I'm 100% honest, right? And making things like, 2 books. Those weren't easy feats for me at all.
Right.
Even learning the process of writing, and because if you talk to me about writing and reading before, nope. Remember, I just told you I didn't do well in college, right? And came out. And so it's like, wait, the same person has a desire to tell a story and help other people tell their story, which is really a part of like the DNA of who I am. So yeah, I get here today by lessons learned and by continuing to document my journey. Yeah. That's what I do in some way, form, or fashion. I do that either in writing or video or pictures. That's really important to me.
Yeah. Well, I asked that question for a number of reasons because of what you just said. But, one being that you mentioned identity, and, there's obviously our every experience we have, as you're saying, shapes our identity and who we are. And we do pick and choose which pieces of those play into that as well. And we can be deliberate about it. But I think that that's precisely why I'm asking, is because you said you came from this environment that was very rough, and you made a choice. You took the reins to write your own story. Yeah. And you were in the military then, again, shaping your own story here. And then something happens where now you can make a different choice, but you are now derailed from your original sense of purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a challenge. And to the topic at hand is also a traumatic one, because it's something that is now completely, to derailing what you had originally set out to do. And there are people that will take that and let it railroad them. And from someone who came from the background that you did, you probably saw that happen.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Or we can then take it and, to borrow a term that someone said recently, you can make lemonade out of horse shit. And make it something beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
You did that.
Thank you.
You took something that may not have been ideal at the time and you made it beautiful.
Thank you.
How did you do that?
If I hear your question right, you're talking about practical steps, right?
Well, it could be practical steps. Okay. It can be mindset. It can be like, what did you do? Like, how did you change something that could have been really, really hard and really, really, it could have been really bad. It could have been, it could not have turned out the way it did.
Yes.
How did you make it turn out the way that it did?
I will say for me, again, my faith is like tantamount. It's the bedrock for me of how I move, right? My favorite quote to say is love God, love people.
Okay.
Okay. And I say that because I have to love God first. I have to love my neighbor, but I can only do that as I love myself.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I could have, as you said, made the decision to allow someone else to take care of my responsibility. But as a firstborn child, as a child who, again, saw abandonment, I didn't want my son and 6 years later daughter to have to be figuring out what being abandoned by their parent felt like.
Right.
So for me, and that's, unfortunately, it is part of the military story when you have to be deployed and you have to be gone away and you have to miss so much.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
You choose. You have to make a decision, right? But you're going to provide for your family because that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Or you're going to say, I'm going to provide for my family in a different way. I'll be the person who stays here and shows up for them in a different way. And for me, even though I was at home with them while Glenn, my husband, was deployed, I still worked outside the home, and I still felt like I was abandoning them in some way, shape, or form. I do not know if I just answered your question. I felt like I rambled on a little bit.
Not at all.
Okay.
Well, actually, you illuminated something, and it's that idea of abandonment was really deep for you.
It was.
Well, and I think that, again, this is kind of back to the same, I guess, thread that I was pulling before here, in that when we have the way we grow up, you see, generally there's two ways that people handle anything as we grow up, right? We either do the same thing or we do something completely different because we're like so turned off by it in some way, shape, or form. And usually it's an amalgamation. It's not just one or the other. There's pieces that we take from each. But you're illuminating that this was something that was so deep for you that you decided, like, absolutely not. I will not go down that same path because it hit so microphone. Because it hit so hard that like it probably it was a deep trauma.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
How did you make that decision?
Okay. I would say how I got to the decision was, I'm a very reflective person internally, right? So I like to see how things affect me, kind of back to that love God, love people.
Yeah.
So if I notice that something is making me act a certain kind of way or feel a certain kind of way, I address it and I identify it. I didn't get here overnight.
Sure.
Right? And even then, I wasn't there overnight. I just had made a decision that my responsibility was mine, right?
Right.
I got there, though, for me, I read my Bible. My Bible helps me change my mindset to not to do things only selfish. So that sounds odd if I'm saying I'm choosing myself, but I'm not selfish. I'm choosing myself, though, for the greater good of someone else. And it has to be very intentional in the mindset that you choose. Yeah. But you have to be very intentional in which mindset you choose. And then you have to be willing to look at yourself and say, are you choosing the best mindset for you in this season?
Right.
So
wow, can you say that again?
Are you choosing the best mindset for yourself in this season?
How do you get to a point where you can actually look yourself in the mirror and say something like that?
Do it every day. Look at
So have it. No, yes. I that's what I'm trying to illustrate,
yes.
right?
Yes. Yeah. It is all about habit. It's all about discipline. That's the word I was looking for.
Okay.
If you're disciplined, we're in the military, we learn about discipline, right? You get up in the morning at 0400, you go PT every day, no break.
Right.
Right? You get out like me, you got bum knees, back, dizziness, and you're like, I don't want to work out. But you need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the discipline is what helped keep me healthy.
Sure.
Right? So my knee hurts more when I don't exercise.
How about that?
Huh? Yeah.
Well, so thank you, by the way. I think that the point that I'm trying to tease out here is, we sometimes will take on habits that serve us, and there are times when we take on habits that don't serve us. And we can often let emotions cloud the judgment that you were so aptly able to pull out, and oftentimes when we're in those big emotional states, and trauma can play big into this, right?
Yes.
Where we don't look ourselves in the mirror and pause and say, what is the mindset that will best serve me at this point in time or this season, right? We have to be in the right point. We have to be in the right mindset to be even able to say that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But the habit of doing so, and I think that that's actually not crazy. That's not the word I'm looking for at all. I think it's great that you're doing that sort of thing, because the habits will then interrupt in those times when we're in these really, really tough emotions, and we can stop and say no.
Right.
pause for a second, it's in that space. What is the best mindset that I can leverage right now in this point of time to best serve me in this season?
Yeah.
I think that that's awesome. And I think that being able to build that sort of a habit pattern around that is incredible. I would love to know how you started that habit.
So I feel like I started the habit because of my grandmother. One of the things she had us do every Saturday morning was get up, read our Bibles, and pray.
Okay.
Every Saturday morning.
Yeah, so she built the habit for you.
Every Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Every Saturday morning. And we had to clean the steps. That was that was one of the things. Read the Bible, pray, clean the steps.
Yeah, okay.
So, and she was instrumental in putting that into me at like age 11 when I moved in with her.
Right. Okay.
So that's how it started. How I cultivated. Cultivation came as a result of me daily looking into my Bible for myself. Also going to therapy, right? I went to therapy at different times throughout my journey. Right now I'm 44 years old. So I learned there's some deeper traumas that I had. And that in order for me to, again, continue to love other people, I have to work on me, right? So one of the things that I do, I'll talk about one of my little bad spots. I love sugar. I'm addicted to sugar.
I think that's pretty common.
Yeah. Like really bad. Cupcakes or cookies.
Okay.
Specifically Wegmans cupcakes.
Wait, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And the chocolate ones, anyways. Okay, do not send them to me.
Yeah,
please
okay,
don't.
got it. Yeah.
And in that, I identify that that's an issue. What I do now, as a result of identifying that as an issue, is instead of going to Wegmans by the bakery section, I go by the strawberries and the blueberries and the blackberries. And I try to consume those and make myself think I'm eating cupcakes.
Oh, wow.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
And it's very hard. And I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Still, once a week, I might hit that cupcake out. But I'm practicing the discipline of trying to take care of my body and remove eating sugar all the time.
So I love that you just did this because it's so innocent. And a lot of you may be like laughing. And we just laughed, right? And I'm glad you're able to do that. Yes. However, we also know that it's very insidious and it's something that in the longer term won't serve you. We know that, right? But I love that you owned it. And I love that you're giving a little bit of insight into how you're dealing with that. So, hey, we all have these things. We all have these ways of avoiding. We all have these ways of coping, right? Which is really what it is, right? You're coping.
Yes.
And we all have these, man, I keep doing it. These things that may not serve us, whether it's, like, hey, I'm going to call some of us out here. Dipping, drinking, they're innocent in their own right. However, they aren't serving us. And let's just be real in knowing that and owning it. And there's a time and a place.
It is a time and a place.
Like having a cupcake every once in a while is not going to, it's fine.
It's not, but you shouldn't have one every day.
Not every day.
No.
So building in these little things that we can do to help us overcome the times when we want to do it every day. Building the habits that serve us instead, because I think that one of the things that we're doing here, right, is we're serving a need, right?
Yes.
And I'll borrow from someone that I enjoy listening to, Tony Robbins. He talks about 6 human needs. He talks about certainty. He talks about uncertainty. He talks about significance, love and connection, growth, and contribution. right? The last two being spiritual needs, which we talk a lot about, by the way, in this podcast, right? We've talked about serving a lot because it's a big reason why we joined the military to begin with, to serve others, right? To serve a higher purpose. And sometimes it's to get away. I mean, we have different things that we're also getting at here. But it's those two last spiritual needs, really, truly, which fulfill us on a deep level. What we're actually looking for is fulfillment here, right?
Absolutely.
So when we look at those first four needs and you say, hey, I want a cupcake, is it fulfilling the need for certainty? Yeah, because you know how it feels, you know how it tastes, you know it's going to be delicious, you know, it's certain. Is it going to serve a need for, we're back, had a little technical snafu. Last time we were talking about building habits and framing what is going on in our lives in a positive light so we can build discipline around coping, right? So, you know, while we had to take a little break here, we were talking a little bit and you mentioned, you know, your husband, like how when he was deployed and he went and when he came back, he was a different person. Do you mind if we dovetail into that?
Let's dive in.
Okay. Would you mind sharing that a bit?
Yeah. So my husband was Navy corpsman. He served with the Marines. And so he was deployed to Iraq in 2006. This is, you know, still like wartime. And, you know, you have a person who, for the most part, I would say was pretty chill, pretty stable, you know, nothing really got to him to go away, serve in a war, because at one point we were actually dual military, right? Because I was in from 2000 to 2004 and him from 2000 to 2008. Go back to his time overseas, come home and be a different human. Startled, stressed. I will say he held a job like nobody else that I know experiencing PTSD. But like at home, things were a little hard. They were tough. We had, you know, for me, again, like I said, prayer is a big part of my journey. So I would pray for him very often. He would have nightmares that were crazy, you know, loud noises that the kids would be making. He would be like, hey, what's that noise? And it's like, they're being kids, playing, having fun. Are they allowed to do that? But we always had to like walk different because of his experience serving our country. And while I know a lot of people talk about PTSD from the experience of veteran, the military person, I don't think enough is being done in terms of the effects that it has downrange on the family.
I could see that. So how did you all deal with that?
So for me, it was prayer, again, talking to him, encouraging him to go to therapy, and continuing to encourage him to go to therapy. Still today, I continue to encourage him to go to therapy. I don't think it goes away. It just, as with anything, we talked about a lot of trauma, right? We talked about spiritual things being very much important to your life and how you move in discipline. When you deal with things that you don't want to face or address, when you try to bury them, when you try to like, and it's just piling up, right? It's piling up. And at some point, you're going to trip over the mess if you don't address it. So for us, I continue to encourage them, okay, I see it building, you need to address it. Don't let it build so far that we can't come back from whatever you done built up, right? So address it by going to therapy, praying, let's talk about it. And I'm extremely patient. So we do a lot of talking. And you have to also be very forgiving, right? Because although you might have an experience where like maybe he might lash out in comments or say something I might not necessarily agree with, you had to be willing to come to the table and just be patient to have a discussion,
right,
and then forgive. I kind of forgive in advance. That's my strategy.
Interesting.
Like, I know already this is a thing, right? Because my son also is neurodivergent.
Yeah.
So I know that, for instance, he might not remember to, if he washes the dishes, he might not remember to dry them off. He might just leave them there. I'm using that as one analogy that just came to me. So same for my husband. I know he might say at the drop of a sound, "Hey, what's that noise?" And it might irritate me. No, I already know he's going to do that. So I forgive him for that in advance. That's how I practice for me, like monitoring that, that coping, I guess you would say. I cope that way. I forgive in advance. And that's what helps me be patient.
I like that. It reminds me of well, grace.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like grace is such a maybe misunderstood, like, coping mechanism or tool, if you will, because it's so necessary for any type of growth.
Yes.
Like, not only grace for ourselves, grace for each other, in a relationship, like going into it with grace or pre-forgiveness, if you will, is I think that's something that probably isn't talked about enough. I'm big on the idea of grace, and to me, like, the way that comes about. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Hawaiian prayer, Ho'oponopono.
Well, come on, tell me about.
Actually, it's what my tattoo is, but like,
it's very pretty.
Yeah, thank you. It's "I love you, thank you, please forgive me, I'm sorry."
Wow.
And that right there is taking responsibility for someone, maybe you don't even know. Right? It's just the idea of, like, I don't care if I'm responsible or not, fault taken. I'm going to go ahead and just take responsibility for it because I want you to feel less burdened.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of what you're hinting at here. So tell me, like, did you use any resources I think you have a very unique perspective, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, like, for someone who was in the military, had your own, trauma beforehand, during, and then after, just losing the purpose and identity is a trauma.
It is.
And then now having, your husband go off to war and come back and be struggling with trauma. You have this very interesting perspective that I think not a lot of spouses of military have. What would you maybe give in the way of advice to maybe a spouse of someone who's in the military, where, let's talk about the transition period, right? Because that's where a lot of this really comes to the forefront. How would you, like, what advice would you give them to help navigate that time period in their life where someone who maybe went to war or someone in the military is now having to face a lot of these things that are now bubbling up to the surface because everything's about to change, you know?
I think that's a great question. And I think the first thing I would say is what you said, is to give grace, right? But I like to think of things practically, right? So you're going to have moments where things are hot and you need a resource to help you. For us, we use the VA military, I'm forgetting the name. It's a transition center that helps with, like, PTSD and those kinds of things. Okay. We did TAPS, but and I had an ombudsman. I'm just gonna say I don't think that was as helpful as they believe it to be.
Yeah.
They're not.
Do you mean TAPS in general, or the one that you went to?
The one that I went to.
Okay.
Yeah, it may be better now. I'm talking over 21 years ago.
Sure.
Crying out loud.
Yeah.
But the transition period that we experienced for him, I had an ombudsman as part of when he came back, and you have to plan for transition. So grace for yourself for what you don't know, grace for yourself for what you do know, because you will still make mistakes, right? And like, talk to a lot of people. Don't allow like shame and fear or questions to stop you from having a discussion with somebody, because they may have went through the things that you're about to go through, and they may have tools specifically to what you need.
Right.
But a lot of times, because maybe the military spouse doesn't understand that you need to really lean on somebody in that way, or the veteran doesn't feel like they need to lean on somebody in that way, that they refuse to, because you're macho in some kind of way where I will figure it out because I've always been resourceful. I've always had tools, and I don't want to look weak to anyone. Look weak, be vulnerable, ask questions, and use the resources of people around you, and don't lose touch with those around you, because it's going to help you. I talked, for example, when I transitioned, which was different from when he transitioned. When I was getting out, the first thing the person told me is, "Oh, you can't get VA benefits. You have to be getting put out as a disabled. So you can't just like apply as a veteran getting out." That's the thing I was told by someone. Like, why would you tell somebody this incorrect truth? I didn't listen to them, right? Because I'm a person that I'm going to find out for myself. So I went to the local base, and I found the VSO that was on base, and I asked him, I said, "Hey, am I not allowed to apply for benefits?" He said, "Who told you that?" "Oh, my friend getting out of the military." So even when you get information, vet it.
Yeah, trust but verify.
Yes. Don't just take everything at face value.
Absolutely.
But do like share, be vulnerable, and get information from those around you. Give yourself grace and financially prepare to transition and do it well, because everybody doesn't do that. Yeah. And we're not necessarily always taught the right skills for financial growth and wisdom. And so like try to, like, now we have no excuse. This is the information age, right? Everything's on YouTube. So you go find it and put it in your toolbox. So this is just something else to put in your toolbox, grace.
Well, yes. I want to challenge that a little bit though. And the reason I say that is because I think that even though all the tools are out there in the information age, I actually think that sometimes it can be overwhelming.
I don't disagree with you.
You know? And I think that, like, especially when we're coming out from, like, you know, especially younger enlisted or something like that, where it's like, I was told what to do, when to be, when to do it, when to be there, what to wear, you know, now I have to go out and figure it out for myself. And there's this plethora of information. What's the path do I take? I think that can be really overwhelming, you know? Are there something, as someone who works for the VA? Like, what avenues can they take within the VA to help with that?
So the VA has like also its own plethora of information. We are a organization, and I'm not saying this now on behalf of the VA. It's just my observation as a veteran. I need to clear that.
Definitely.
As a veteran and a person who works in the VA, this is what I can tell you. Our systems are disjointed. And resource-wise, if you go to the VA, some people get very frustrated by the processes that we have. Right? So one of the things I try to tell people, we have a new TAPS, not a TAPS, for a transition assistance program that's supposed to help on the journey of a veteran, that you can get through our Office of Transition and Economic Development. It's called OTED. So if you go to www.va.gov, you can look up OTED, and you'll find that as a resource to help you. I would say that would be step one. One of the things you want to also put in your toolkit is keep copies of everything. Keep copies of everything. So your DD-214, one of the things I found many people say, "Oh, I don't know where that is." No, have that. Have your medical record. Those are things that you need to keep on you, because...
Make digital copies.
Yes. Make digital copies. And paper copies.
And
have
paper
both.
Copies.
Because if you don't, then when you're going to apply for something, and we have, again, very disjointed systems where we need to do better at making it convenient as it was in the military, right? You got a bubble you're in the military with your medical, your dental, your vision, and somebody telling you what to do. You come out and it is scary.
Yeah.
It's extremely scary because it's like, what am I going to do for all these things?
Yeah.
And how do I do them? And you still have to do your research so you can be informed. Because sometimes people will say, well, it's so much. It is. But like with anything, you have been in a service where you may have operated something very expensive. Maybe it's a crane in my case, like on the LHD, or maybe it's what we call the pig, which was the fire truck for the flight deck.
Yeah.
Those are expensive pieces of equipment, and I had to learn how to operate it. So I had to read information.
Right.
Don't give up your ability to find the information you need.
Sure.
Even though it is overwhelming, take it a step at a time and don't wait till the last minute. Sometimes, you're used to people telling you what to do. Now you're about to control your own journey and your own way, and you need to identify what you need to make that journey successful.
Yeah, and I think you talking about how like talking to other people, that's been a thread that has come along quite a bit in these podcasts. Is find a mentor, find friends that have gotten out, talk to them, and I think that not only with what you've been through, like from a PTSD or trauma standpoint, which I think is very important, being able to talk about that's hugely important, but also just, yo man, like I'm about to go move across the country. Right. I'm getting out. What do I do? Like who do I talk to?
Yeah.
Leveraging those resources that are already there, like don't forget about them and don't think that you're being a burden. I get that we've been taught how to be resourceful and like, hey, go take that hill. I'm not going to tell you how, right? Because it can change. Yeah. It's the same thing. Like go take the hill upon getting out. So I want to talk a little bit actually about your books. Okay. They both have to do with navigating trauma and PTSD. What was the impetus for writing them? And then two, like what are they about?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first one, Help Me Tell, Finding Your Voice After Trauma, is the full name of Help Me Tell. That one is a story about a little girl named Lily who experiences a traumatic event, and then she goes on a healing journey. This story is a depiction of myself. I was abducted at a young age. And I have worked through many things to get where I am today. This is not a cakewalk. It is not easy for me to even sit here and say that. But I am able to do it because I have put in real work, which is why I talk about like not building up that molehill so large and allowing stuff to keep going and not dealing with it, right? So that's what the first book is about. It is designed for ages 8 to 10. But I have had people tell me from different ages that it's been impactful for them to begin to deal with their own trauma. And it doesn't specifically talk about an abduction, but it does talk about a traumatic event.
Right.
Yeah. So then the Together in the Trenches is a devotional that really came from my own experiences with my husband and also my son, and just writing those down, what scriptures that I was working with that day that may have helped me, like prompts that I have used to help me be reflective of what I was experiencing, and then something encouraging. So yeah, those were the starting points. Was something happened that caused me the need to get to this space where I have to tell my story and I have to help other people heal on their journey.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. By the way, I want to point out, because many of you, if you have been following along, are probably like, wow, in every single one of these episodes, we're talking about, religion and specifically Christianity. I want to make it clear, like, this is not a religious podcast, right. But I do want to point out that every one of our guests has found some sort of solace or some sort of tool or strength
Yeah.
in a higher power. So whatever it may be for you, if that is something that's helpful, like I highly encourage you to take that path if it's helpful. So thank you for sharing that, because I will never hold that back in any way, shape, or form. So I'm curious, you know, you did mention a couple things that you still maybe struggle with.
Yeah.
Can you put a name to some of those things? Like, what are some things, if you look back, and I guess let's anchor this, you know, to pull on the Navy thread. Yeah, no pun intended.
Anchors away.
Yeah. So, you know, getting out in the transition, what are some things that you still struggle with from your own transition out of the military?
Yeah. So some things I still struggle with my own transition, I would say, is discipline. I have a lot of aches and pains and dizzy spells. Those things affect my ability to be disciplined and exercise. Also, I would say, in terms of identity and purpose, initially I struggled very hard with that.
Yeah.
I'm just getting to the place where I understand what my purpose is and being able to communicate it in a way that's clear and concise to others, right? It's storytelling.
Yes.
And I got there because my background was so dramatic that I needed.
It's fine.
Yep, I needed to fix it. So yeah. So
what is your purpose then?
I would right now. I understand that my purpose is this: to love God and love people. But I do that by being able to tell my own story and helping other people tell theirs. That's my elevator pitch.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I love that you came full circle, because you were talking about how love God, love people. Yeah. And you were saying that one of the things that you were still struggling with or had a hard time when you were getting out of the military was this identity and purpose piece. Yeah. Please, and can you elaborate on that? Like, what were you feeling? Like, how did that manifest?
Well, I will say it manifested in that it was like feeling insecure about like what I was going to do next. You know, used to people telling me stuff, and I followed instructions extremely well.
Sure.
And now I was making my own decisions for my own life in a different way, right? Again, still in my faith journey. But I will say one of the things in terms of this that I want to encourage people on who are like in this space of figuring out transition is that you will feel like you don't have purpose because it's changing and becoming different, but you do. That still exists within you, and maybe you are exploring that as part of working with Price.
Yeah. Thank you for the
You're welcome.
I want to talk to that for a second. You know, I think that a lot of people inside and outside of the military, but especially those that were in the military, when we've been so ingrained in a way of operating that's all about like taking care of those around you.
Yeah.
And I think that this equally goes out to, if not more in a lot of ways, to stay-at-home moms.
Absolutely.
And those who are like may have been even raised in that sort of a culture where it's like all about taking care of other people but not yourself so much. Taking care of yourself is not selfish.
Yes.
In fact, it's one of the least selfish things that you can do.
Absolutely.
Because you can't take care of someone else if you can't take care of yourself.
100% agree.
I also think this goes deeper.
Yes.
If you can't love yourself, you can't love other people.
Absolutely.
If you can't respect yourself, you can't respect other people. If you can't trust yourself, you can't trust other people. There's a beautiful book out there called The Speed of Trust.
Oh, I read that.
It's a great book.
Okay.
You've probably heard of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective.
I love Stephen Covey. I use it all the time.
Yes. So his son, also Stephen Covey, Stephen M.R. Covey, as it were, wrote The Speed of Trust.
Okay.
He tells about how something as simple as getting up when his alarm goes off is building trust with himself. Now think about this for a second. If our habit pattern is when the alarm goes off to hit snooze, we are internally building a habit and a dialogue of, I cannot trust myself.
Wow.
And this builds even deeper. So like now all of a sudden where it's like, oh, I have to turn something in and here's a deadline. It's like, but it's fine. And it goes over maybe a day. It bleeds. That little tiny habit bleeds into everything.
Yeah.
And I think in the military, we're pretty decent at this in most things because of the discipline that we're given.
Right.
But what's interesting though, is that that little tiny habit pattern then actually causes us to lose trust and faith in others.
Yeah.
Because we can't trust ourselves.
Absolutely.
And he talks about the shift here, and then he actually winds up making, is that he makes the commitment with himself the night before that I'm going to wake up when my alarm goes off, regardless of how tired I am. I'm making the point now, like I'm checking now. If I want to sleep in, I'm deciding now, and that's okay. I'm giving myself permission for the next morning because I'm deciding now. Right. But if I set my alarm to wake up and go to the gym tomorrow morning, I am waking up tomorrow morning when my alarm goes off to go to the gym. It is such a tiny little shift, but that whole habit pattern of trust is just huge. And it starts in here. It starts in here. I know that was a little bit of a tangent.
No, I love that tangent.
But
thank you for that resource.
Yeah. So I guess on that note, what's your favorite book?
My favorite book is a new recent book to me. It is by Robert Kiyosaki, and it talks about the 4 quadrants.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So Robert Kiyosaki.
Yes.
Yes. Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So he wrote a second book. I think it's from 2011, so it's a little older. But it talks about the 4 quadrants and being an employee, a small business, a business owner, 500 plus, or an investor. And he lays out the importance really of getting into all 4 of those quadrants, or what it looks like, and identifying what it looks like to operate out of only one of each of those quadrants.
Okay.
And then what you can do to make changes for yourself.
Yeah.
If you choose to.
Oh, I like that. And how has that served you?
So because I just finished reading.
Oh, you just finished.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that.
Like Friday. That's why it's my favorite book.
That's awesome. I love it. Actually, funny story. So my son is 10.
Okay.
He'll be 11 actually this upcoming week. But we listened to Rich Dad Poor Dad together on the way to school every morning, because when I first started listening to it, I was like, wait a minute, this guy is 9 in the story. Yeah. My son at the time was 9. I was like, maybe this will resonate.
Yep.
I finished the book, and when I finished the book with him, I was like, okay, if I don't put this into action, he's going to think I'm setting the example that books are only for reading and entertainment and not for action.
Absolutely.
So that's when we bought the Airbnb. What about podcasts?
Favorite podcast is actually Mel Robbins.
Oh, I love Mel Robbins. Yeah.
And the reason is because I'm starting to go through the change. And she really talks about some of the resources that people in my age group need and have not really talked about very well before and don't have the resources for. So
got it. Okay. Yeah. And are there some good resources out there?
I'm still learning them, so I don't want to say what they are, but I think that if you are a woman at the age of 30 and above, you should check out the Mel Robbins podcast because it's phenomenal. And she really does have industry experts that really talk to changes that we're experiencing in our body and changes that we need to experience even in our thoughts and our thinking. So really helpful.
Well, hey, I really appreciate this because, like I said, I think you bring a very unique perspective in that being in the military yourself, having gone through the transition, then, having your husband PTSD and then transition himself. One of the things that I want to serve here with this podcast and this audience is not just the military service members themselves, but spouses thereof. And I think that to your point, you said this earlier, is that is an often overlooked crowd, especially when it comes to trauma and when it comes to the transition itself. So I guess the last thing I would love to ask from you is, are there any resources that you would suggest for, and resources specifically that exist out there that maybe you've had experience with that let's say a spouse or a service member themselves could leverage during the transition period?
So a resource specifically, what I would say is go to va.gov. That's one. Your local VSO is another. And then lastly, I would say each state has a veterans service organization or a veterans state facility that can help you with different things, whether you're starting a business or whatever the case may be. IVMF is really good about helping people transition with the different programs they have on Onward to Opportunity and other things. So I would definitely go there and check them out.
Yeah.
And I had recently heard of this resource, but 1 Million Cups, they actually have a conversation every Wednesday, and it's throughout the country. So you just go to their website and you find a local place where if you're a business owner or you're looking to start a business, it might be a good space to help you out there as well.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Actually, I can vouch, well, maybe not IVMF, but Bunker Labs, which I guess is now part of IVMF.
Yes.
If you are looking to start a small business, which military is very, very apt to. I mean, what is almost half of the Fortune 500 are like military service members, our own businesses. So it's a good route to go if you're interested. I do understand it's a big leap though, but there are definite resources out there. Bunker Labs is a great one, which is now part of IVMF, where you can get a lot of direction, a lot of resources, even funding.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some great opportunities that exist out there. So please don't go it alone. There's definitely people and opportunities out there to make it happen and be successful. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for showing up. So how can people get a hold of you?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram at Speaking from the Lens, Facebook at Speaking from the Lens, TikTok from Speaking from the Lens. Yeah. Or if you want to look for me on LinkedIn, I am Jasmine Rush VA on LinkedIn.
Oh, okay, cool. Awesome. We'll drop all of that in the show notes. So if you want to see any of that or get a hold of Jasmine, you can do it there. Also want to point out, if you haven't seen it before, all of the books and the podcasts and all of that fun stuff that we mentioned, I try to drop all of those in the show notes as well. So please check that out because we do take the time to curate that. So it's useful for everyone.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for stopping by. If you have any sort of feedback for this episode, I know it was kind of jumpy. I apologize. We have some learnings to take out of this one from a technical standpoint. But if you have any other feedback or comments, please leave them below. If you have any questions you would like us to ask our guests as they come in, or if you have suggestions for guests that you think be great on the show, please let me know. Other than that, subscribe, you know the deal. But we'll catch you all next time. Take care.